Shopify grows with your business no matter how far or big you grow. From the launch your online shop stage to the first real life store stage, all the way to the did we just hit 1 million orders stage? Shopify is there to help you grow. Whether you're selling your fans' next favorite shirt or an exclusive piece of podcast merch, Shopify helps you sell everywhere. From their all-in-one e-commerce platform to their in-person POS system, wherever and whatever you're selling, Shopify's got you covered. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/income, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/income to grow your business no matter what stage you're in.
Welcome to The Planted Runner. I'm Coach Claire Bartholic, and this is the PR Training Lab. This is where I take a random submission from a regular runner just like you, and I create a custom training plan recorded live here on the Planted Runner podcast. This helps you learn how to create a training plan for yourself and helps you get to know me a little better, see why I make the decisions that I do. So hopefully it can help you in your own training. Today, we are doing a training plan for Matthew. He's a 40-year-old runner, and he is training for the Berlin Marathon. So if you would like to enter to win to get a free custom training plan made right here live on the Planted Runner podcast, all you have to do is go to theplantedrunner.com/PR lab. And if you're following along, in the show notes, I have all the questions that I ask the runners so that you can kind of ask yourself those questions if you are making a training plan for yourself. All right, let's get started with Matthew. As I said, he is 40 years old and he's running for Berlin, which is September 29th, which means we're in June now. He's got to get started soon. He wants to become a more balanced athlete and incorporate strength and cross training into workouts. Okay, well, we can do that. So for the most part, I would say the average marathon runner is running 4 days a week. Most people can handle that kind of lifestyle change, and 4 days a week works really great. As you advance, you might want to add an extra day. 5 days a week works really well for a lot of runners. Once you go up to 6 and 7, that is really advanced. It doesn't always mean that you're faster. It just means that you've had some experience to be able to handle the pounding. So let's see how many days Matthew is running in just a bit. So I asked him how long he has been running regularly. He said 7 or 8 years. He's American, so he's using miles. He doesn't have any injuries. Okay, this is starting off really great for Matthew. What are your recent race times and distances? October 2023, he ran the Chicago Marathon in about 5 hours. Okay, let's see what he's hoping for Berlin. His current 1 mile time is 6:46. Okay, let's take a look at that. So a 5-hour marathon in miles, that is 11:27 pace. In kilometers, that is 7:07 per kilometer. His mile time is comparatively much, much faster. We would expect a mile time from a 5-hour marathoner somewhere in the mid 8s per mile, something like that. And he is 6:46. That actually translates, and I cheated a little, I looked it up beforehand. Let's say that that was his mile time and he trained his best for the marathon. That would translate into a 3:35 marathon. So an hour and a half almost faster. Now, these calculations, they're just estimators. They are obviously not correct. If this is a 5-hour marathoner and he runs a 6:46 mile time, there's a big discrepancy there. So clearly there's some reason why Matthew is much better at the mile than the marathon. Now, the marathon is a lot more than speed. It is about experience. It is about fueling. It is about strategy. You obviously need strategy and training for miles too, but it's a completely different beast. It's raw speed and it's over in 6 minutes and 46 seconds, whereas 5 hours is a whole different ball game. So we don't know where the discrepancy is. My guess, it has something to do with his training. Not sure yet. He hasn't built up the endurance for the marathon, or there's something going on with his fueling, something going on with his strategy. Maybe he started off too fast and he just crashes. Don't know what's going on there, but that is a little interesting note that there's a really big discrepancy in his mile time and in his marathon time. All right, let's take a look at Matthew's training. How many miles does he run a week? 20 to 30 miles. That's actually really good. At this point, we are about 3 months away right now from Berlin. And so I really like to see marathoners get up into 30 miles per week. He's in the 32 to 48 kilometer range. If you are metric, that is perfect. About 40 to 45 kilometers is where you want to be at the start of your roughly 14-week marathon plan. Now, lots of people don't have that mileage built up yet at this point, and that is okay. We can work with it, but I will tell you that's not ideal. That makes training harder because you're not quite ready to do some more advanced, not even advanced, I would say even intermediate training. And then it makes the marathon race itself much harder because you're simply not as used to it. Long distance training takes a long time by definition to build up not just your endurance, your aerobic strength, but all of the adaptations necessary in your bones, tendons, ligaments. There's a lot of bouncing going on when we're running, and that is hard on our system. We can get used to it. We can adapt, but it's a long, slow process. So if you keep up some good mileage before you start marathon training, you'll be in a whole lot better shape. What is the highest amount of weekly mileage you've ever run, and how long ago was that? He said 40 to 45 miles a week in training for a marathon in 2018. Okay, that was 6 years ago. So that's a long time ago. So it's great that he has the history of getting up to about 45 miles a week. That's anywhere between 64 and 72 kilometers. So it's great that he has that history, but we don't necessarily want to jump right back up there if he hasn't done this in years and years. It is a lot easier going back to a previous fitness like that than starting from scratch. But it doesn't mean that he can do that right away or in this cycle. So we'll just have to learn a little bit more about him. All right, what days of the week does he currently run? He selected every day except Wednesday and Sunday. So does that mean he's running 5 days a week? Not necessarily. It could mean that he sometimes runs this day, sometimes runs that day. He just doesn't happen to run Wednesdays and Sundays. So I don't know if he's running 5 days a week or if he has just chosen those as his potential running days. Running 5 days a week is great if you can handle that. It depends on your experience and it depends on how you're splitting up your mileage, right? It's great to have most of your mileage pretty even and then have a longer long run. So, we don't want to be running for the most part, 10 miles a day. Most runners shouldn't be doing that. And then have, a super long run. Or we don't want to have these little baby runs all week and then have a really long run. We want to have some differentiation, but we don't want it to be too extreme. So 5 days a week, potential running days. What day of the week does he run his long runs? On Saturday. What is his recent long run? He's at 10 miles. Okay, so 10 miles, and he filled this out a few weeks ago, so hopefully he's bumped this up a little bit by now. But when we're starting a 3-month marathon specific block, we want to be ideally 12, 14 miles for the long run, approximately. If you are a little bit lower than that, you can build a little bit more. But obviously, we are training for a very long run. So we do want our long run to be significant, but it is not the only thing that we are doing in training. A lot of people overemphasize the long run. They think that the long run is the most important thing. I would say, sure, it is the most important thing, but you have other days of the week that you're training and they all work together. So don't glorify the long run too much. It matters what you're doing the day before. It matters what you're doing the rest of the week. What pace would you say is a very easy effort, a relaxed pace for an average run? This pace is so slow that you could talk as easily as you are walking. He says 11 minutes per mile. That works out to be 650 per kilometer. Now, this is an interesting pace. So obviously, if we're looking at the mile time of 646, 11 minutes per mile is a very slow, easy run pace for him if we're considering how fast he can run a mile. But if we are considering his marathon time, if we're looking at that, that's only 27 seconds slower. So if I only knew that he was a 5-hour marathoner, I would say that is far too fast. It is just about 30 seconds slower than marathon pace. That is way too fast. You need to slow it down. But the problem is we know that he's got a lot of speed in him. So he probably can handle a slightly faster long run at a perfectly conversational effort. So there's some nuance here in determining what your easy pace is. But honestly, we shouldn't be looking at paces so much when we're thinking about easy. It's all about an effort. If you are really tired, if you've been, stressed out at work, if you've had a fight with your spouse, if you didn't sleep well, if it's super hot, if there are confounding factors, your easy run is going to be much slower. If you're feeling fresh and rested and ready to go, you might be running an easy pace a little bit faster. If you're running with a group of people, you might accidentally run faster. Now, this is an interesting concept. It is psychological, but science has shown that when we are running with other people, our perception of effort is lower. So when you're going on that group run and you are just chatting away with your running buddies and you look at your watch and you're like, wow, I ran that easy run way too fast. We were talking the whole time. I didn't realize it. Sorry, coach. I say it's okay. So your perception of effort was lowered because you were distracted with your friends. When we're around other people, we want to impress them. You know how it goes, right? But if you were talking the whole time, even if the pace crept up a little faster, it's okay. It's still an easy run. And the social benefits of running with others sometimes supersedes the schedule. So little tangent there on group running and perception of effort. All right, what day of the week does he prefer his speed days? Tuesday and Thursday. Okay, I'm probably going to switch that. So Saturday runners, if we are trying to spread things out evenly, Saturday runners should have Monday and Wednesday as their speed day. Sunday runners should have Tuesday, Thursday. This is a rule of thumb. If this doesn't work for your lifestyle, you can move it around. But what we're looking for is a nice alternation of easy days, rest days, and speed days. So we don't want our speed days back to back with long runs. We want our hard days hard and our easy days easy. So we want to have some space in between those runs and balance them out evenly throughout the week. So we'll see if he's flexible about that. What day does he take off? Wednesdays and Sundays. That works great. Let's see how flexible he is with his schedule. Let's see if I can move things around. He says, I'm fairly flexible. Sometimes I shift my long run from Saturday to Sunday based on family commitments over the weekend. Okay, so he's fairly flexible. Hopefully he'll be fairly flexible throughout the week. So let's see. Which balance schedule would he like? Okay, so he's moving his long run to Sunday so he can get those Tuesdays and Thursdays as speed days. So that works out great. Happy that he's flexible, moving things around a little bit. He can still take his Wednesday off. He can still take one weekend day off. Actually, no, we want him to run Saturday. So he'll be taking off Wednesday and Friday. So that works great. We'll see what he does on Monday, but that is a perfect schedule as far as keeping your hard days hard and some recovery in between. What are your favorite kinds of running workouts? He likes speed intervals, like 400-meter repeats or longer tempo runs. So good news, Matthew, we're going to give you both of those. So when we are training for a marathon, we do want to incorporate some faster running. We want to train a little bit like a 5K runner, not the whole time, but we definitely want to have some 5K work. And towards the beginning of the cycle, we're going to have some faster speed work, so faster than 5K speed pace. And the reason we do that is when we're training for a 5K, if you listen to the episode last week with Ginger, we really want to work on stamina, which is speed plus endurance. Now, marathoners don't need to be quite as fast as 5K runners, but they do need to work on their stamina because you know what? The last 5K or 3.1 miles of a marathon should feel like an all-out 5K. It should feel like you just started a 5K race turkey trot at home and you're running as fast as you can for the last 3 miles of the marathon. So you do need to have that skill and you do need to know what that intensity feels like. Again, you're not going to be running that fast during the marathon, but training to feel that discomfort, training to sharpen up your high-end speed, all of that will translate to better running at the slower pace of the marathon. So we will be doing some 5K work and faster in your marathon training block. And of course, we will be doing tempo runs. So tempo runs are a medium effort run or medium to high effort run. And I define them as anything, the highest pace that you can run for about 40 to 60 minutes. So for some people, that's 5K pace. For the fastest runners in the world, that is half marathon pace. It is not about a race time. It is about a overall time. And when you get to the end of that period, that 40 to 60 minute period of you running as hard as you can, that's when the lactate builds up in your bloodstream, that burning sensation in your legs, and you shift from going from a mix of aerobic running and anaerobic running to all aerobic running. So once you cross that line, it's called the lactate threshold or the anaerobic threshold. Once you cross that imaginary barrier, you're going from medium effort running to high effort running. And you're going to have to slow down really quickly once you cross that line. It is all over. Your brain will start to slow you down and you will stop before you completely fall apart, right? So tempo efforts are under that line. They are still a hard effort, at least at the end. They start out feeling kind of medium effort. Once you get closer to the end of that workout, it will feel very hard. But again, this is the pace that you are running as if you were racing. So I'm not going to give you a 40-minute workout at the highest tempo, level. That would be a race effort. And we're not doing race efforts very often in training. If you do schedule a tune-up race, that's a little bit of a different story, but we're not running race effort in training. We want most of our workouts in training to be about a 7 or 8 out of 10. And when I say workout, I don't mean every run that you're going out the door. I mean speed efforts. We want those to be challenging but doable, but never all out. I'll be back with more from the PR Training Lab right after this. This September, join me and a small group of runners for an incredible running vacation here in Asheville, North Carolina. We're staying in deluxe riverfront cabins where we can run right out our doors. We'll feast on chef-catered plant-based meals, enjoy classes and coaching, and so much more. To learn all about the cool things we've got planned, go to theplanetrunner.com/retreat. Spaces are very limited, so sign up today. My favorite way to get all my stinky running clothes clean is with Earth Breeze. Earth Breeze Eco Sheet look just like a dryer sheet, but it's ultra concentrated laundry detergent. It eliminates stains and odors while being kind to the planet and your skin. No more ugly, heavy plastic laundry jugs filled with messy blue goo, which we all know is mostly water. Earth Breeze comes in a lightweight cardboard envelope that hardly takes up any space in your laundry room. And they offer flexible subscriptions delivered right to your door for free. If you decide to go back to your old stuff for some reason, you'll get a full refund on your Earth Breeze purchase, no questions asked. My clothes are clean, they smell fresh, and I never have to feel guilty dragging home the big orange jug from the store again. Right now, you can receive 40% off Earth Breeze just by going to earthbreeze.com/plantedrunner. That's earthbreeze.com/plantedrunner to cut out single-use plastic in your laundry room and the landfill. That's 40% off your subscription at earthbreeze.com/plantedrunner.
Hear Her Sports is a podcast for everyone who loves stories by and about women striving to improve and make a difference in their lives. I am your host, Elizabeth Emery, a former professional cyclist. In every episode, I introduce a female athlete or woman in the business of sport through a thoughtful conversation about who they are and the terrific work they're doing. My guests and I explore the glorious and frustrating issues in sports, history, equity, training, nutrition, and so much more. Join us for inspiration, for community, and for love of being a strong, athletic woman.
This is The Planted Runner. I'm Coach Claire Bartholic, and welcome back to the PR Training Lab. All right, what are your least favorite kinds of running workouts, or what do you struggle with on your runs? He says, I struggle to finish just as strong as when I started on speed days. It's difficult to maintain hard efforts. Okay, there's a couple of things that I'm suspecting might be going on here. So we know that Matthew has some good high-end speed. He can run a mile in 6 minutes and 46 seconds, which is in kilometers is 4:12 per kilometer. So he has some raw speed, but it is difficult to maintain. Okay, so that means we need to get him doing some more stamina workouts. We need to get him to push that, to stretch that speed out longer. And how you do that, paradoxically, is to slow down. So what he is likely doing in his speed workouts is starting too fast. He wants to make it feel like a workout, and then he can't hang on to the end. So if you cannot do the first rep of a workout, if you can't do the last rep of a workout as good as your first rep, take it all down a notch. We want the last rep to be just as good, if not a touch faster, than the first one. So the way you do that is you sandbag the beginning of your workout. You purposely go slower than you know you can so that you can sustain the whole workout. We want to push our stamina, and that doesn't happen if we fade out after we run really hard. You're not getting enough stimulus. So take it down a notch and get through the workout with even splits. It's just like if you were lifting weights. Let's say you were trying to bicep curl, okay? And you picked up a 40-pound weight, and you could do that one time. And then you put it down and you go home because that's all you can do, right? It would be far better for your training and for your strength development if you picked up a 20-pound weight and you did that several times and you got through the whole workout. You are actually stimulating your muscles by lifting that weight many times instead of just one time with all your strength and then fading out and having to go home and getting super sore and tired. And then you don't want to go back to the gym the next day, right? So we want to get through these long workouts. The only way that we can do that is to slow it down. So He's struggling to finish strong because he's making his workouts too hard. I know it's counterintuitive. We want to run fast. And so we run fast in workouts. And then we're like, what happened? Why can't I do this? You can't do this because you're not there yet. So this tells me that we should treat him more like a 5-hour marathoner than a 6:46 miler. Maybe not quite, maybe not quite, but it means that we really need to take a look at his speed workouts and make them reasonable. I would rather Matthew get through an entire workout at half effort and come to the end of it and be like, that was too easy, than for him to struggle to finish, fall apart, and not be able to do the workout completely. So if that is you, if your speed workouts are so challenging that you cannot finish them, figure out a way to finish them. And that usually means slow it down. All right, what kinds of cross training does Matthew do? He sometimes rides the stationary bike on non-running days. That is perfect. The bike is wonderful for runners because it is zero impact. So if you are getting plenty of impact when you run, so you can get some extra aerobic benefit by biking on your off days, as long as you are not going at an effort that you need recovery from the bike. So if you're going slow enough that you can talk, you are boosting your aerobic engine. And the thing about your aerobic capacity is that we really don't have an upper limit. I mean, I'm sure we do, right? Somewhere. But there are people out there that are running 200 miles, that are running for, a week straight. You hear about all these amazing running feats that people are doing, going longer and longer and longer and longer. And that is because human beings we really haven't found our limits yet when it comes to aerobic capacity. It's pretty easy to find limits in our muscles, tendons, and bones. We know when we are completely wiped out physically and, we can't run anymore, we get injured, but we don't have lung injuries, right, from running. We can get better and better and better aerobically, but we can only run so much. So a great way to get the best of both worlds is to do some kind of non-impact aerobic activity for your cross training. So that is great as long as it doesn't make you too tired to run well. We want to keep that up if you like. All right. Do you strength train, Matthew? He says sometimes, but not regularly. Let's go ahead and change that. So there are many ways to strength train as a marathon runner, but my favorite is to just do a little bit more often. And you want to do your strength training on your running days. The reason you want to do that is to promote recovery on your off days. So many people will run on Monday and then strength train Tuesday and then run on Wednesday and so on. And they are never, ever recovering. So they can't lift as heavy in the gym because they're tired from running, and they can't run as well on their running days because they haven't recovered from lifting. So instead of these big sessions, do a little bit of strength training after your running. And you hear these things all the time. Oh, runners should lift heavy. That is true. Runners should lift heavy. But you should not be lifting so hard that you are sore. Never, if you can help it. You want to be able to run well and recover well. So make sure that you are strength training after your runs, hopefully, and you have plenty of recovery time in between. Now, if strength training after your running doesn't work out for your schedule, I understand there are ways to work around that. So let's say you run in the afternoon on Tuesday, you go to the track at night with the local running group. It is okay to strength train first thing in the morning Wednesday. That's your next best option. So figure out a way to do it. Now, if you really can't get in 10 minutes a day of strength training, not every single day, like 10 minutes every other day, 15 minutes here and there, I would say you need to trim down your running. And I know you don't want to do that, but 10 minutes of strength training is better than running one extra mile. So consider where you can squeeze it in. So little bites of strength training is better than some huge long session that you need to recover from. So we want strength training at this point to complement our running, not take away from it. If you want to do some really heavy strength training, or if you really want to get stronger, save that for an off marathon cycle. So after your marathon, after you've recovered, you should have at least 8 weeks, hopefully 12, 14, hopefully 6 months before your next marathon. So there will be time that you can dedicate to a strength phase. But basically, what we're doing in marathon training is maintaining and supporting our running. We are not trying to get super big and strong at this point. We are just trying to support our running. What are your biggest struggles with nutrition? Matthew says, I don't select healthy options if I eat out. Also, I don't eat fruits and vegetables, many fruits and vegetables. Okay, Matthew, let's talk about this. So if you don't select healthy options when you eat out, and you don't eat out that often, no big deal, right? If we are healthy at home and we are selecting or creating healthy options 80% of the time, 90% of the time, so what? If you eat, some junk food when you eat out, perfectly fine. We have a life. You don't have to be perfect with your nutrition as long as you get it right most of the time. The fruit and vegetable thing, I am going to call you out on that one. That really does need to be a priority for your running and for human health. Virtually every study on the planet of human nutrition talks about how important fruits and vegetables are for longevity, performance, and overall wellness. So fruits and vegetables just have everything human beings need to run well, live well, and age well. So I would suggest start small, okay? How can you add fruit at breakfast? Can you add a banana to your cereal? What about lunch? I would say, yes, start with fruit because most people like fruit more. Sure, it has a little bit more calories than vegetables, but you know what? Fruit has a ton of antioxidants, vitamins, minerals, nutrients. So it's okay to eat a lot of fruit, I promise, especially as a runner. So how can you add a piece of fruit to breakfast, lunch, and dinner? How can you add it to a snack? What is your favorite vegetable? Do you have one? Can you have some cut up veggies with hummus as a snack? Can you add one vegetable to dinner? Okay. Can you add one vegetable to lunch? Obviously, we want to be eating more than one, but if you're not eating at all, let's start small, make it manageable. So I would challenge you to start adding at least one fruit or vegetable to every time you eat. If you eat 3 times a day, add them to breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Just start with one. But a meal definitely is not a meal without fruits and vegetables. So again, thank you for being honest here, Matthew. Most people don't want to admit that they don't eat fruits and vegetables, but that is something that I gotta be honest with you, that has got to change if you are looking for wellness, performance, and longevity. Fruits and vegetables are part of the deal. What are your biggest struggles mentally when it comes to success and performance? These are always the good ones. So let's see what Matthew said here. He says, mentally, I allow myself to quit in a run before my body is done. If it looks like a goal time might not be achieved, I find it hard to stay motivated the rest of the race. Ooh, this is a good one. Really relatable, right? When things get hard in life and in running, yeah, it's easy to quit. It's easy to say, this is too hard. I don't need to do this. Let's go ahead and stop. So we need to practice hard things and we need to practice not quitting. So the first step might be what I talked about earlier. Chill your workouts out. Get them to a point where they're not so hard that you feel like you have to quit. It is way better to stack happy workout on top of happy workout and top of happy workout than feel like you're beating your head against the wall by doing these super hard workouts that you can't finish. There should never be a workout, or I should say, very rarely should there be a workout that is so hard that you cannot finish. Make it a workout that you can finish. Set yourself up for success so that you can build your confidence, so that you can do workouts over and over again and you're confident about them. The way to build your confidence is just to stack up these wins. So, we've got to make things easier, and the first step is by making your workouts easier. Take them down a notch, and then you will be able to do more similar workouts. And as your confidence and your fitness grows, you can start adding a level of difficulty. But remember, we are only supposed to be working at 70% to 80% of our capacity on our hard days. And so many people, especially type A runners who want to be successful, they're like, 70%, that's like a C. And I'm like, yeah, we want a C plus B minus effort. I really, really want that. And that is actually how you will succeed. Sure, when you can do workouts without blinking, and you never have these mental issues, then yeah, we can make them a little harder sometimes. But really, we want them to be achievable. It's so much better to get a workout done than to crash and burn, right? So let's look at the second half of what he's saying. If it looks like a goal time might not be achieved, I find it hard to stay motivated the rest of the race. Yeah, I get this. We runners are trying to run from point A to point B as fast as possible. Time is important. 100% agree with that. But if that's the only thing motivating you for the race, you're going to be disappointed a lot of the time, right? So find out what your B goals are. And I'm not talking about a B goal that's a little bit slower than your A goal. We need to develop goals that are about more than just time. And they have to be goals that are meaningful to you, important to you. So what are your non-time goals? Is it just to finish? Is it to follow your fueling plan? Is it to hydrate? Is it to just show up on the line with your shoes tied? Is it to high five the little kids that are on the sidelines? What are your non-time goals? Maybe it's to not start out too fast. Maybe it's to finish the last 5K strong. Come up with a list of B goals, and they have to be motivating to you. So start thinking about those motivations. If the only thing that motivates you to run a marathon is time, I promise you, you're going to get your heart broken. You will eventually. Maybe not now, but there has to be a reason bigger than time. Maybe you're running because there's somebody in your life that you're inspiring. Maybe you're running for somebody you know who can't run, who is inspired by you. Really start to think about your motivation, because I promise you, if it's just time, this is not going to be something you're going to want to do for very long, because you know that it's got to be about more than just time. So I invite you to explore that a little bit and see what you come up with. What are you hoping to learn or gain in this training cycle? Learning to gain consistency in running with race-specific workouts. Yep, going to do that. I'm going to slow you way down. Also gain mental strength to know that I can achieve my goals. Okay, everyone who gets a custom training plan from me gets mental strength workouts every week to work on your self-talk, to change that negative voice in your head and learn how to build confidence and trust in yourself. So again, building confidence, how do you do that? By doing it, right? You're confident in something that you've done before. So don't make running any harder than it needs to be. Take it down a notch, stack up those wins. Go run your 400s that you like so much, Matthew, but do them at a pace that you can get through all 10 of them or whatever I'm going to give you. I'll have to see on that. But do them at a pace that is totally achievable and keep chipping away at that. Then the next time they are on your schedule, maybe try to do them a couple seconds faster. And every day you are laying the bricks of your foundation and you are building a confident house. You don't build confidence by hoping and wishing. You build confidence by doing every day, just a little bit at that C effort, at that B effort, right? We don't want to build confidence by crashing and burning. I want you to have big goals. I love big goals. They are a great North Star, something to hope for. But what you do every day, that consistent, maybe it's boring to run slow, maybe it's no fun to run at the track slower than you're able to, but that's where the magic is. Because speed is nothing without control. If you can't control it, if you burn out after a couple of reps or after the halfway point of the marathon, you're just cooked, what good is that, right? Learn how to control your speed and then you can build on it. So confidence comes from consistency, right? Confidence comes from doing the thing. And yeah, you're going to screw up sometimes. And yeah, you're not going to be as fast as you want to be at times, but you're going to get better and better. You're going to learn from the times that you messed up or you learn from the times that you miscalculated, and you're going to do it again and again and again. And you're going to get better and better at it. So I think we can work on that, and you are going to get the mental strength, and you're going to do it just by doing it. Anything else you'd like to share that will be helpful to your success? I've been chasing a sub 4-hour marathon for almost 10 years. Okay, wait a second. He said he's been running for 6 to 7 years. Okay, maybe that means he's been running consistently for 6 to 7 years. Okay, so let's go back to that. Almost 10 years, and I'd really like to achieve that goal. My best is 4:06, so I know that I'm close. I just can't get over the plateau. Okay, so I don't know if he can get to a sub 4 coming from a 5-hour marathon. I'm not sure exactly what went wrong, whether it was fueling, whether it was training. But we know the speed is there. We know he's had a 4:06. We know he can run a mile fast. So yeah, I think that he is close. Like I said, I don't know if he can do it in Berlin, but Berlin is a great opportunity. Berlin is fast. It is flat. It is obviously well run. It's one of the major marathons. The downside of Berlin is the travel. So again, assuming that Matthew's American, he is going to have to travel abroad. He is going to be jet lagged. So hopefully he's given himself enough time to settle in, get used to the time change is probably, 5 or 8 hours ahead, depending on where he lives. So he hopefully will be able to adjust quickly, but international travel is inherently stressful, even on the best days. So hopefully he can adjust quickly to the time zone in Germany and give himself the best chance for success. But yeah, I think he absolutely can do a sub 4 marathon. 100% he could do that if he dedicated himself and really worked on it. But it sounds like we have some endurance and some stamina to work on and get the consistency and the mental self-talk straight. But definitely within his wheelhouse to do that. Let's see if he can do it in Berlin. Not sure if he ran in Chicago a year ago in 5 hours. So obviously, jumping an hour in a year, that is huge. But I think there might have been some confounding factors. Not sure there. But I think that he's got a good shot. If not this time in Berlin, within the next year, he could do it if he dedicates himself to that. So this will be a fun training plan to write. I think Matthew's got a lot of potential. So we'll see how he does. All right, this has been the Planet Runner Training Plan Lab, or the Planet Runner Lab. You see, I do this live. I'm not editing out very much of this, so mistakes, they stay in. But if you would like me to do this for you, write a custom training plan for your next race and record it live here on the Planet Runner podcast, go ahead and head to theplanetrunner.com/PR lab. But if you're in a hurry and you can't wait on waiting to be chosen and you want a plan right now, I can set you up with that too. That's theplanetrunner.com/plans, PLANS. All right. This has been a fun one. Thanks for tuning in and have a great run today. Thank you for listening to The Planted Runner, part of the Evergreen Podcast Network. Don't forget that you can win free access to one of my sprint session masterclasses just for writing an Apple Podcast review. So be sure to write yours right after your run today. Reviews are the #1 way to boost this show's reach, and it's a great way to tell me what you'd like to hear next because I read every single one. Have a great run today.
Women's Running Stories, where we explore the intersection between running and life. Because every woman who is committed to a running journey has a story to tell, and this is where you'll find those stories. I am host and producer Cherie Louise Turner. I'm a 53-year-old runner, and together with original music by musician and runner Cormac O'Regan, we bring these inspirational stories to life. Please join us to fuel your adventures.